All right, welcome everybody. I'm Sonia. I'm a volunteer for Infinity, located in Highland Park, Illinois. And we'd like you to check us out on Infinity's website, which is www.infinityfoundation.org. And also check out our transformational instruction to awaken your deeper fulfillment, and our growing library of recorded classes that are available for purchase. And today's class is Mystery of Ascension. And our faculty member and instructor is Hazel Archer-Ginsberg. Hazel is a founder of Reverse Ritual, Understanding Anthroposophy. She is a trans-denominational minister.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. Anthroposophia. Yeah, we'll actually talk a little bit about what does that mean. Yeah, I mean it's a great. Once you get your tongue past the languaging, it's wonderful because it's a Greek word that is actually very concise. Anthropos means a true human being, a human being who is in touch with their divine nature as well as their earthly nature. And then Sophie, or Sophia, is the name of the Greek goddess of wisdom. So the wisdom of the human being, anthroposophia, or anthroposophy. So, yeah. Well, greetings, friends, old and new. And I'm speaking now in the present moment, but I'm also putting a vibe out to the future because I know we've got a few friends here, but more are going to be joining us. And yeah, it really is an honor to be with you in this foundation for infinity. I just love that. We're together through our collective intention. We're going to consecrate this cyberspace. We're going to co-create through our goodwill a sacred space here in the ethers. Right? We can be in our own little spaces, and yet we can experience each other as human beings. So I think I really just want to jump right in with some leading thoughts to set the stage for the experiential piece that I will task you with. So you're going to be put to work, but first we're going to just, work with this idea of how all of the offerings I give are always a combination of head, hands, and heart, science, art, and practical spirituality. So before I share my screen with our artistic, I always create these artistic renderings with all the esoteric themes that we'll be exploring. And I love to do that because it really helps me to work with these imaginations. And, but now here we are, we can just sort of bask in each other's.
Whoops. I'm so sorry, I muted you.
All right. There we go.
There you go.
All right, so I'm just going to do my beautiful slides. So this is our beginning, right? Got to begin somewhere. And I think before we go to where we are, I always like to give just a little jump, a little background. So when we tune into the cycle of the seasons, the spokes on the wheel of the year are milestones that we can stand on, giving us the ability to tune into the cosmic and earthly flow, which allows us to find ourselves, to reflect, to set intentions, to listen, and receive guidance in our heartfelt striving toward our highest destiny. So starting at Imbolc, the cross quarter between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox, also referred to as Bridget's Day, right? After the Celtic triple goddess, she's one of my faves. perhaps you've heard of it as Candlemas, right? And I believe the Muggles call it Groundhog's Day, right? Great movie, by the way. It's all about karma and reincarnation, which is always a big part of the big picture of being human. But of course, I digress. But at that cross-quarter time, we begin to feel a quickening in our soul. And as the wheel turns, when we reach the spring equinox, the time of balance between the dark and the light, when the days begin to lengthen, we sense the stirrings of a deep urge toward resurrection within ourselves. Yeah? And the plant kingdom, I have my lilac here, it's stirring upwards in growth, right? It's touched by the warmth and light from above, and that calls forth this color and this amazing scent. And the whole of nature is reaching upwards towards the heights. And the longing of the human soul strives also upwards in unison with nature, seeking the touch of world warmth from the sun. So this mood of ascension attunes all of life to the cosmic expanses. And through the glory of the seasons, we take part in what we can experience as a breathing in and the breathing out of the earth soul. Do you sense that? How during the winter, we feel more contracted, right? More inward. And then naturally, we become more expansive with the warmth. I know I feel that really strongly. And as we move toward the fertility of May Day, Beltane, which is the next cross quarter on the wheel of the year, nature celebrates the ascension of the soul of the earth. Does that make sense? Gaia, our Mother Earth as a living, physical and spiritual being, breathes in during the fall and winter and breathes out in spring and summer. Our Earth has a soul that ascends during toward this cosmic expanse at this time of year. And through our conscious intention, we too can exhale to mingle our life forces with the cosmos and use the powers available now to call in that expansion, to intentionally bring ascension energy into our human body, soul, and spirit. And so in this way, ascension can be called the festival of the elements, a recognition and a celebration of the elemental beings, the spirits behind nature. And so here we see a connection of this idea of as above, so below. And the realm of the clouds is where the elements meet in an assembly of air and water, particles of earth, wood rising in the etheric realm, the life body that borders the material world. Entering that realm moves us into the aura of Mother Earth. And when we attune ourselves to the elementals, when we consciously connect to such beings as Raphael, healing archangel of spring, we can awaken to the way these spiritual entities are constantly interacting with the earth through the interweaving of the elements. And so for this reason, fruits and flowers are in reality not just products of earth, but heavenly forms filled with earthly substance, kind of like us. And it's not by chance that the Easter festival, a profound renewal of the ancient mysteries of death and resurrection, is a movable feast. Now, what does that mean? A movable feast. A lot of folks here probably know what that is, but we'll just give it a little go here. It is a festival determined by a cosmic alignment of Earth, Sun, and Moon. I love this. It's a cosmic alignment, right? The Easter Sunday only comes after the first full moon after the spring equinox. It kind of sounds a little convoluted, right? But really, when you think about it, first, we have to experience the spring balance that the equinox brings to the earth. Then the La Luna has to come into her vernal fullness. And then first Sunday after that is the festival of Easter. And this modern holy day, yeah, it's modern because it's only been a couple thousand years, actually gets its name from an ancient maiden goddess of the dawn. She's seen in many, many cultures. And here in the West, we call her Ostara, Istra, right? Her name really holds the origin of the powerful feminine hormone estrogen, right? Which is, of course, to say the least, regenerative. It's regenerative. So in the ancient mysteries, people knew this power. And we see many examples of the divine feminine hailed for her regenerative qualities. The new mysteries call on us to reclaim these forces while also recognizing that human consciousness evolves. We can see the big picture, again, this idea of as above, so below. There's a big picture of human evolution, right? Cosmic evolution. We can see that reflected in the individual development that we see from a child into adulthood. So let's just picture that for a minute or two here. Right? First, we're one with the mother. We are inside the body of the mother. We grow there, we're dependent, completely dependent on her. And when we come into incarnation, we're still dependent on her. We're nurtured by the mother. We learn, we grow through imitation. Then developmentally, there comes a time when we have to leave the mother's house and go out into the world to find ourselves, right? We're meant to become independent. And we can't go back to the mother in the same way as dependent suckling babies, right? We must be ready to give back. We must evolve in order to ourselves become the mother. We have to become the new caretaker, a co-creator with the mother. Right? So we can go visit grandma's house and then we can, we can bring the father and the sister and the brother, right? We are family. Yeah, I mean, the archetype of the family with all its triggers, I know I have some, it's still a good metaphor to try to explain where we are in the evolution of humanity. And I don't know about you, but the way I experience it now in our current stage of humanity's development as a whole, yeah, we have left the mother. But we are still very much in the teenager phase, as far as I can tell. We think we know everything, but really, we're kind of acting like selfish brats a lot of times, right? We're awkward and hormonally unbalanced. We have this astral body that's driven for many by lower desires, undigested urges, unconscious impulses. And to further the metaphor, yeah, we're meant to grow up, right? We can go off and experience a higher education. We can we got to go out in the world and find our calling, right? The old adage is, go get a job. But really, it's all a symbol for stepping up and cultivating our higher self, taking responsibility, seeking to find our right livelihood, our place of service in the world. And I love this saying, we find our place in the sun. I just love that, because it is important to connect these beings, these spiritual beings of the sun, the moon, and the earth that are behind this physical matter, including all the planetary beings of the wandering stars and the fixed stars of the constellation of the zodiac. They all have a mission together with humanity, and some more than others. In our present cosmopolitan age, we are being asked to take the Sophianic wisdom of the moon and reflect it back to the Michaelic sun. And like I said in the beginning, I love making these slides because I really find that art has a way of helping us to enter the spiritual worlds, opening us to these divine archetypes. And many great artists, especially of the Renaissance time, were initiates of sorts, called to bring the mysteries in through their art. Now, the regenerative power of Earth, Moon, Mother works through the watery element, connected to our formative forces of creation and destruction, right? Life and death. And the solar gods create regenerative power through fire, an active, beneficent, protective warmth. And of course, I could do a whole seminar on the mystic marriage of fire and water. But today, let's tune into the archetype seen in the ultimate death and resurrection of a distinctive sun god coming in from beyond the zodiac, one with the trinity of the Godhead, and then take that into the Ascension. Because all the earlier ancient representations of the sacrifice of the solar forces were a precursor, paving the way in the ever-evolving consciousness of humanity to the festival that we know as Easter, which takes this archetype further on many levels. First of all, it's a threefold festival. Begins, we've been saying, with this spiritual reality that from death comes new life. And that really fulfills this human longing for resurrection. And this gives an opportunity for the dawning of a new sun. This takes the ancient mysteries further to meet us where we are now and to lead us into a glorious future. Yes, the Easter tide flows on, it goes further. So 40 days after the mysteries of death and resurrection, we receive the second aspect, a new archetype through the festival of Ascension. I'm just gonna give that a little break for a second here. Because I think it's important to sort of talk about this esoteric significance of those 40 days, right? We're in it right now, folks. First of all, the symbolism of the number 40, right? Which, by the way, is mentioned 149 times in the Bible. It's important to contemplate. It represents an initiation process, some sort of a a trial, a period of testing, which we must endure to become more spiritually aware, to achieve a triumph of the spirit, a chance for advancement. So, friends, yes, many are called, few are chosen, but we are here right now, and we are deep in this powerful 40 days between the festival of Easter and Ascension, which coincide with this season of growth and change. And this year, the festival that holds the archetype of Ascension comes in a week from today. So it's May 18th. So why don't we think about tuning in together at the same time next week, to continue our work. We can meet, just by thinking about each other and bring these elements that we're going to talk about today, even more potently into the world. And even though the date changes from year to year due to the nature of the movable feast aspect that we discussed, it's always a Thursday. Now, isn't that interesting? Thor's Day, right? Representing the planet Jupiter, the archetype of growth and expansion. This is the model of the benevolent ruler. So it's an impulse that we can take advantage of and really tune into now. So bring this back up. Yeah, so then threefold. So then 10 days later comes Pentecost, which means 50 days after the resurrection, when the inspiration of the Holy Spirit pours in, right? The comforter, the counselor, advocate, revealer. These are some of the translations of the Greek word paraclete, another name for this divine spirit of truth. And in this third aspect of the threefold Easter fest, the mighty fire of the sun is mediated by the feminine flame of divine wisdom, coming in the form of a dove. The image I hold in trying to really live into this imagination is it's like a step down generator, right? It mediates the fiery vibration of the spiritual sun into warmth of soul so that we can abide its flame, transforming the solar fire into a healing, revealing, divine feminine force that sparks our will to action and enlightens us to our right livelihood. So that is a little background of where we are in this Wheel of the Year. And I wonder if anybody has any questions at this point before we jump into where we're going. Good, so we're all on the same page. All right. So, dear friends, every year when Mother Earth begins to breathe out in the springtime, the mystery of the first ascension is vibrating strongly in the aura of the earth, in the ethers, the etheric realm, which gives formative forces to the physical world. This realm, it's waiting for us to tune in, to receive, and to add to, right? Our human etheric body, right, just outside our physical body, we can work with this consciously to imbue it with these formative forces that are so present at this time of year. So let's take advantage of this, because this archetype of ascension is the next stage for the evolution of humanity. We're going to talk about that and see why. What does that mean? The first ascension was modeled for us by what I like to call the cosmic being of love, the Logos, the living word from the Trinity of the Godhead, identified by the Greek title Christos, which means anointed one. And in Hebrew, it translates to mean Messiah. So this cosmic being of love who came to the earth from beyond time and space, incarnated into a human being to reactivate our divine nature and to reveal the truth about death, which was the consequence of our premature descent into the physical. Love is regenerative. It's a redeeming force that conquers death, revealing the truth that in reality, a death in the physical world is a birth into the spiritual world. So why have we been so conditioned to fear this part of the life cycle? Perhaps you, like me, have begun to recognize how we have fallen too deeply into the physical, into a materialism that denies our divinity. I mean, really, it's easy to see how many dear souls have forgotten their divine origins. We must awaken to the fact that behind materialism, there are adversarial forces working very hard to distract us from our true evolution, creating divisions in our relationships with each other and with the creator beings who seek to work with us to achieve our highest destiny. When we give up fear and doubt, we can reclaim the truth that death is the big brother of sleep. Right? We can see it as a transition, another phase in life, a transformation. And then death becomes new life, fulfilling the human longing for resurrection. So yeah, when we give up our fear of the unknown, when we cast doubt out of our hearts, we become co-creators in the dawning of a new sun, outpictured in Easter Sunday, which is the octave to the 7 days of Holy Week, which leads to this new Sunday. So many of you may know that the 7 days of the week are named after planetary beings, right? The gods and goddesses from the past are leading us to the resurrection of a new sun. And what is this new sun? A time in our future evolution that is coming in now from the future, when the earth will become a sun. The earth will become a sun, the center of a new universe of love and freedom. So friends, this is the highly esoteric spiritual goal of evolution, for the earth to become a sun, and for each of us, a star once again. For it is from the stars that we originated, formed from the creative forces of the cosmos, from the beings who are working with us still from the spiritual worlds from which we sprang. Maybe you are one who feels called to set the stage for the future, to work now, to prepare for a time when we will be able to imitate these great creative beings, our mother and fathers, but in a reversal. So instead of turning spirit into matter, which is how we started out before we took on spiritual or physical form, now that we have fully descended, maybe we've descended too far, right? And many have lost their connection to the divine. So our calling now is to reverse the descent, to ascend, to transform matter to spirit. I just have to say that, this transhumanism that we keep hearing about, ultimately it's a trap, an enslavement, keeping us imprisoned in the material world. We're not meant to create smart, quote, smart machines to replace our soul forces of thinking, feeling, and willing, to make our bodies immortal, to extend our physical life, denies the truth of karma and reincarnation. We're not meant to, get stuck. We're meant to transform the physical into spirit, not try to replace the human being with artificial intelligence, but to cultivate true intelligence based on heart thinking, awakened, conscious, moral human intelligence centered in love. So, yeah, I consider myself a spiritual scientist, working within the new mysteries of anthroposophy, a source of spiritual knowledge and a practice of inner development that draws on and strives to build on the occult research of Rudolf Steiner. And this great initiate was a true Rosicrucian, teaching us that every human being, anthropos, has the inherent wisdom, Sophia, to solve the riddles of existence and to transform both self and society. And just like us, Mother Earth is an ever-evolving living being made up of the four elements, enlivened by the fifth element of spirit. So what does it look like for us to consciously bring spirit into matter and matter into spirit? Well, besides our personal inner work, right, which we can, we have to develop, this will help us develop new spiritual organs when we meditate and are consistent in our spiritual practices. We have a responsibility to take 3 steps in our moral development for every 1 step toward wisdom. And I believe humanity is being called to transform the elements, not by dominating or exploiting nature, but by morally striving to work with the elemental beings. Okay, so how do we do this? This wonderful chart here, it's great. Let's look at this for a second. We can see sort of in the middle realm. Can everybody see that okay? We can see how in the middle realm, this is where the elemental beings live, right? All of these elements are there. And they have a little arrow that connects up into the spiritual realms, right? The etheric realm that's right above the physical, which also connects up to these sub-earthly realms where electricity and magnetism and nuclear energy, etc., where the transhumanists want to keep us trapped away from disconnected from nature, disconnected from spirit. But you can see how Earth is connected with the highest realm of this etheric, the life ether. So all of the formative forces that create the Earth come from this highest realm. And water is connected to what we call the tone ether. And that's where the music of the spheres are vibrating. And air connected to light. So many practices from the Eastern religions, etc., from the past, had a lot of breathing exercises, which are not applicable for us today. We have to transform that, and we're going to talk about that when we do our work later. But the thing that's really interesting to me is that fire, the element of fire, is really kind of the bridge between the earthly and the spiritual, right? The warmth of our heart forces is the bridge that connects us. So it's really interesting to me that in this etheric realm, which is accessed by the warmth of our heart forces, it's in this realm that we can experience what has been called the Marian apparitions. These visions of the divine feminine that have been happening for, this one Guadalupe is here, 1531, amazing. So really working in this etheric realm, bringing us these messages of hope. And this is also where we meet what has been called the etheric Christ. The prophecy of the second coming is fulfilled in this supersensible realm of formative forces. It does not take place as a physical event on Earth. That already happened at the turning point of time. What's happening now is an ascension that we can picture coming in the clouds. The clouds are another kind of a bridge that connects the earthly with the spiritual realms. And we pass through this sphere, before birth, during sleep, after death. So can we awaken to what is written there? It's there for all who have spiritual eyes to see. And more people are tuning into that. And it's interesting because, modern science, which, okay, often it denies natural preventative remedies. And I know that through, the recent world events, we've seen it kind of grow into a dangerous kind of superstitious dictatorship, but you're right, because it's coming from a very materialistic place. It's economically driven and controlling, but some few thinkers are stepping onto a metaphysical path, seeking to understand the multi-dimensional universe, exploring things like the God particle, string theory, 0-point energy. These are all really interesting things to look into. And people are asking things like, why is it that some human beings are actually able to hear color? Have you heard of this? Right? Or see sound? It's amazing, right? And these days, many folks are what we call on the spectrum. So what's happening? Something is shifting. Something is shifting in our human consciousness. Something is wanting to ascend. It's fascinating. So, friends, for those of us who want to step into spiritual science in a practical way, there's a lot to work with through the art of sacred geometry. So the basic Platonic solids unlock the esoteric dimensions of the elements. And anthroposophy is really big into the dodecahedron, right? This opens us to the architecture of the universe. This is what Steiner used to build the Goetheanum, beautiful spiritual center, right? So, but we can't always just jump right into the universe. So what has become very popular recently, what is known as the Merkaba, is a good step toward these mysteries, because before we could really become one with the universe, we have to take steps towards bringing a balance and a union of opposite energies. This is required if we are to connect the earthly with the spirit. So in ancient Coptic Egyptian, Mer, so this is the definition or breakdown of Merkaba. Mer means light. Ka represents spirit, and Ba, the body. In Hebrew, Merkaba translates as chariot, a vehicle of ascension. But it also represents these high angelic beings of the first hierarchy known as the thrones. It's this flying throne, this ascension piece. And in the Torah, yeah, we read about how the priest prophet Ezekiel was led to activate a three-dimensional Star of David, chariot throne, enabling him to ascend into the heavens. And the writings of the Zohar, right? This is the foundation for the mystical teachings of the Kabbalah, and also used in modern Rosicrucianism, realizes that with conscious practice and selfless action, we too can ascend into higher dimensions. So different forms of a Merkaba meditation have been practiced by initiates for many, many ages. In ancient Egypt, the practice consisted of 18 breathing exercises. Working consciously with sacred geometry is a potent way to consciously activate our highest human evolution. But as I mentioned, the time for breath work has passed. We saw in our chart that moved from, past the sub-earthly realms through the elements into the etheric world, showing that air must be transformed into light. Let's try to think about that concept. Transform air to light. So in our time now, we must learn to breathe light. So with that little preamble, are we ready? Are we willing to take some of this into practice? So I'm going to ask you to use your, what I like to call cognitive imagination. So you're not going to just go off into illusion. You're going to be in your thinking realm, but you're going to build up a very detailed imagination. So we're going to picture 3 superimposed star tetrahedrons, right? So this is you can see in the little chart here, they have this counter rotating that is above, below, and in the center. So this first triangle, it points up. The blade. This is the blade, the sword, the lance, representing the penetrating warmth and fire of love. And the other points down. It's the chalice, the womb, the cauldron of transformation, holding the healing, purifying energy of water, which connects us in the higher ethers to the music of the spheres. Remember in our chart, how water connected to the tone ethers. So, making some connections here. And when we bring these two opposite elements together, it really is an alchemical symbol of the sacred marriage. This unification of the blade and the chalice. Perfect for the month of May, the merry month of May, right? The alchemical wedding of fire and water becomes a new Star of David. This interlocking of these two triangles. And this is the marriage, you know, and from this marriage is born the third tetrahedron vibrating through our heart chakra. So we're going to picture it bringing in this transcendent third to create an energy field of love as a warmth of soul, to enlighten our feeling life. And then the light as spirit wisdom, enlivening our thinking, and the spiritualization of our physical body through our active willing. Are you with me? I'm talking a little fast. Well, I think we're going to just plunge in. You feel like you want to do a little experiment together? So I'm going to invite you now. Maybe I'll take the screen share off. If you want me to put it back on so you can have these images, let me know. But so I'm just going to invite you to just step into this image, first of all, of the chalice. So here you are, this human being, and you can picture this triangle or tetrahedron covering the lower part of your body, starting from your heart and going down, right? So this is the water tetrahedron, and it's pouring out the Holy Spirit of the divine feminine. So if you picture yourself sort of stepping into that and start rotating in this image of this chalice that you've stepped into counterclockwise. So if you can picture this moving in that direction. Are we all kind of feeling that a little bit? So once we get that divine feminine energy circulating in the lower half of our body, then we can add the fire tetrahedron. So that triangle, again, meets it at the heart and it points up, right? We see it rising up. It's a triumphant flaming sword, right? It's the mighty being Michael inspiring you. So we're going to spin that clockwise. So you got a triangle below that's spinning counterclockwise and one that's above you spinning clockwise. Can you picture that? And when you have these two rotations happening, feel your heart opening to receive this third tetrahedron. This is going to unite this above and below within your heartbeat. So that energy, it's not only coming from the front, you also feel it coming out from the back of you, right? So you're three-dimensional, folks. Don't forget your backspace. This is where all the spiritual world is got our back, right? So we feel this penetrating us on all the dimensions. How are we doing here? Can we feel that? Are you good with these kind of imaginations? I love doing this kind of stuff. I find it to be really, really powerful. And obviously this takes a little practice, right? I'm just kind of throwing this at you, and you can go back and look at this this recording and practice it on your own, or just take it from yourself. But I also want to take it a little bit further. I'm going to bring this back up. So we're going to do that again. We're going to build up this Merkaba again in our being. And then I want to speak. I want to take the air and form it into a sound vibration to create light. So when we speak a mantra, or some sacred words or a verse of some sort, that's one way to take breath and create light. So through this breath, we are creating an actual creative process. We're making a creation with our speech. So at the bottom of your screen there, you can see this is a verse from Rudolf Steiner. And so we're going to build up this Merkaba again, and then I'm going to speak this verse into that, the throne that we've created, the chariot that we've created. And I hope that will help us to feel this opening in the tone ethers, where the harmony of the spheres lives. And when I speak the verse, there's a eurythmy gesture that goes along with it. So let me demonstrate that before we try to put all this together. So the way the verse goes, once we get ourselves rotating and moving and everything, we're going to picture in purest outpoured light shimmers the Godhead of the world. So here you are, you're in this throne, this chariot. You've got the chalice spinning counterclockwise. You've got the blade spinning clockwise. You've got the heart center uniting the two. And all around you, you have this pure light. And it's alive, it's shimmering. It comes from the Godhead, and it's all around you. So you'll picture all of that. And when you get so full of that light, then, move my little flower here. Then I'm going to ask you to do this eurythmy gesture called Love A. So when you're all full with that light, we'll say, in purest love toward all that lives, outpours the Godhood of my soul. So you're so full of that light. You're vibrating, you're rotating. You are a vehicle for ascension. You're full of this light. And then you can't help but find the Godhood within yourself, and you pour out love. And again, when it's coming out of your heart, it's also coming out of your back, right? So you're picturing this three-dimensional love pouring out of you toward all that lives, right? Even the things that are ugly, right? Even the people that maybe are, not so beautiful. Everything is full of this love. And then you bring it back to yourself. This is love A, right? It creates this boundary, but this is where the love can come back to you. So we're going to do that a bunch of times. And then we're going to let all of the rotation, all of the movement, all of the picturing go. We're just going to put our hands, maybe at our dantian. I don't know if you can see me. Like down here by your belly button, right? Because then we're going to rest. The key to a lot of these meditative techniques is we build things up, we imbue them with forces, and then we have to rest in that, because that's where the inspiration truly comes in. I rest within the Godhead of the world. There shall I find myself within the Godhead of the world. So if you are within the Godhead of the world, then you are the outpoured light that shimmers all around you, right? So you are an individual human being, but you're also part of this Godhead, right? And your love adds to that love in the world and that light. Does that resonate? Does that make sense? All right. So, shall we try it? Should we try it again? All right. So first, we're gonna. I'll leave the picture up if that's okay. Then you can sort of see that. But you might want to just close your eyes and just trust yourself. You're picturing this three-dimensional tetrahedron, the waist down, from the heart down, right? It's this beautiful chalice. It's this cauldron of transformation. It's full of life forces. It's singing, it's resonating with the harmony of the spheres, and it's rotating counterclockwise, rotating counterclockwise. And you're in the center of it. It's stirring you. You're feeling yourself being stirred. When you get that going, then you can feel this rising up. It's rising up of the blade, of the lance, of the sword, right? That's the fire tetrahedron. Now again, it's all around you, and that's spinning clockwise. So you have these two vortexes moving in opposite directions, and then in the middle, joining those two, you have another tetrahedron that is spinning inside of your heart, and it joins the fire and the water together in your heart realm. So feel that spinning, vibrating, connecting of your heart. Now picture, in purest outpoured light, shimmers the Godhead of the world. In purest outpoured light, shimmers the Godhead of the world. And you see it shimmering, it's scintillating, it's alive. All the colors of the rainbow. Or maybe it's white for you. What does that light look like? How does it surround you? Can you feel it penetrating the chalice? Is it filling the chalice? Are you stirring that light with the blade? Can you feel it engulfing you? Can you become one with that light? In purest outpoured light shimmers the Godhead of the world. Now come to your heart. Bring your hands to your heart. And if you will, pour out what you have received from your heart out into the world in purest love toward all that lives. Outpours the Godhood of my soul. And then bring it back. Bring it back to your heart. Let's try that again. In purest love toward all that lives, outpours the Godhood of my soul. Bring it back. So you're feeling this light all around you, filling your heart in purest love toward all that lives. Outpours the Godhood of my soul. You're adding to the light. You're adding your love to that light. Now bring it into rest. Let the spinning and everything go into stillness, into silence. Rest within the Godhead of the world. there shall I find myself within the Godhead. You are in the Godhead. You are also in the light. You are also in the love from the Godhood that you are part of. So then you can step out of the chariot and come back to where we are here. I find this to be a really interesting, powerful meditation. Very, very alive. I wonder if anyone would like to share anything. Maybe you haven't, not really into it. I don't know. What do you think of it, Petra?
It was interesting to experience the stirring from the inside rather than from where I usually experience the stirring.
That's true.
But I was also very much really just excited to learn a little bit more about the Merkaba, because I have this pendulum that has one built into it.
Oh, wow.
And it was great to hear a little bit more about the meaning of that part of it. So yeah, I mean, it's always very I don't know what the right word is, but just to find different ways to try to make that connection.
Maybe next time when you're doing the biodynamic prep stir, you can put yourself in that realm and see what that does.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, certainly something to work with and experience different things, I'm sure, is different things would be connected to the exercise, you know.
Well, good. We'll check back in about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do some of that on the 20th.
There we go.
Colleen or anybody else want to chime in? What was your experience?
I really enjoyed it. It took me just a little bit to get coordinated on the reversal of the, going clockwise and counterclockwise, but still, and then bringing the heart. Afterwards, though, in the silent, quieting it all, I felt like this expansion around like head and heart, like a vibratory increase. It felt like, of just light, and I was a little surprised. So it's like really felt very nurturing, I want to say. And then combining the eurythmy with it was quite a beautiful expression too. Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it very much. Something I'd like to do. I also like these kinds of things. Energy. It almost feels like, like energy, playing with energy, being with energy, allowing the communication. It feels like cosmic, into divine, into earthly realm, and back and forth. So yeah, I think that's what I can say about it. So yeah, I appreciated it.
Yeah, I love that. That verse is one of my, I think it was actually one of the very, very first meditations when I started to do meditation on a consistent basis. It was the first one I did, and sometimes it goes away and I'm doing other things, but recently it's come back again, and I just find it to be so helpful on so many levels. And then to combine it with this other imagery, I'm just like, wow, I feel like I'm going to take off in a spaceship or something.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it makes me think of what you're talking about, like with Ascension and the, in the Merkaba, and like a way, just a way to more consciously experience that kind of connection or union of Ascension. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that's just like a story outside of us that happened 2000 years ago. It's something we have to, really take up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Hey,
Beautiful.
Nicole, look at you, baby. Want to share?
Yes,
Mhm.
I loved every minute of it. I loved learning. The meditation I will need to practice on because I do spinning this way, spinning that way. Like that'll take some time, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's such an honor to be here.
Thank you for being here. Yeah. Anybody else out there want to share? Yeah, I mean, I think it does take a little coordination, but it's not that complicated. And, but I do think that once we get the flow, if we wanted to practice this, and once we get the flow of it, I really do believe it will become like a vortex of energy inside of our being. And I wonder, what that will develop. So this is a new thing for me as well. And so I'm going to continue to practice it, and I'll definitely write about it on my blog. So maybe y'all can go with me on this journey, and we can do a little spiritual scientific research and compare notes and see, where we go with it. It's not a one and done, that's for sure. And of course, it's especially potent to work with this time of year, but you could do it every day. Doesn't matter. What about you, Sonia? Did you have an experience?
I really enjoyed it. I was able to get in it the whole way. When I was a child, I was very visual, and I used to paint. And then as an adult, when I started trying to meditate, I had a lot of trouble visualizing. But I find the more I do it, the more that ability comes back. I got a little stuck on the upper triangle. You mentioned that the chalice, the lower one starts at the heart and goes down. And I was trying to figure out where the one that points up starts. So I imagined it at my knees, and it seemed to work. But I am curious if there is, what would you say about that?
Well, I think what's interesting when you look at the different artistic renderings, they really do overlap, right? So
Right.
you can see it, yeah, like at the knees, I think would be a good way to do it, so that really the heart space, is encompassing having both of them within. So yeah, but I think you can move it, right? I think you can move it
Yeah.
around and experiment with that. And another thing that came up for me is, I don't know, you mentioned being a kid. Did you ever do this like when you were a kid, where you just spin and spin and spin until you get
Definitely.
something?
Yeah.
So, it's that kind of a principle, I think, because it does alter your consciousness. And as adults, we can play and see what I feel like it could create some sort of a etheric voltage, if you will, that we can become like, I hate to use this imagery of the sub realm with the, electricity or whatever, but I think we do have the capacity to become charged in a way that can make those formative forces healthier and, more full of life force itself. So, yeah, we just have to take it into practice. So yeah, that's really all that I wanted to bring today. I really wanted to center in on this particular form of meditation, and of course, it's great to be able to, commune around, everybody's experience And I also want to invite you to come out on, we mentioned when we looked at the threefold festival for Easter, that we're in this place of ascension now, this middle of the three, but we will on the 28th of May will be the third aspect of this threefold fest, Pentecost. So I'll be bringing a beautiful festival on. It'll be online again, but I'll be working with Velsum, and I've given them some indications about the Divine Sophia and a lot of very esoteric images that they're going to put into a song. So they'll bring us in their sound vibration, which again, the arts always help to open up those spiritual worlds. So that's going to be up on the blog as well. You can come and join that, and that's always free. Everything I do from my own heart is a community service, so you can join us for that as well. So I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say before we.
I just want to mention all your slides and the artwork is just so beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I understand what Nancy means about, people want to interact and everything. So but I can't help it.
No, this was a great balance. And yeah, I think we all had this.
Mhm.
Yeah, it really does help me to create those things, because then it's not just in my head, you know what I mean? Then it's coming from my heart into my hands, and these images really live in me so much deeper. So yeah, thank you for appreciating them.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Well, I will see you all.
Mhm.
We can all just, go out and whenever chance we get and just do a little cloud gazing. This is a good time of year to do that. We can find many little synchronicities, things written in the clouds. So I hope that you will take some time for yourself to do that. And yeah, please come to Reverse Ritual and share whatever insights come forth for you.
Great. Thanks so much, Hazel.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
We'll see you. Mhm.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a good night.
Me too. Thank you.
Peace.